Hey guys, DBJ here. This is a video that's a combination of two subjects. Recently, a commenter asked me a question about how to play and how to convince a DM to introduce a half race. And those of you that are familiar with all 5 generations of Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder are real familiar with half-elves and half-orcs. But the idea of other half races has always been in contention, and even in classic D&D, half elves and half orcs have never fully been developed. There was no true reason why they should exist. The fact that they do exist, they never seem to have their own culture, and this is on purpose, of course, for Wizards of the Coast and TSR back in the day. Because we were all able to make up our own worlds. But half races represent something far more complicated than we're used to understanding. Is their population large enough for them to have their own culture? How populous are they? If a human and an elf have a child, is that child a one-for-one? Meaning, if that human and or elf gets pregnant, they will have a child? Or are there many stillbirths or miscarriages? Are the births of those things, half elves and half orcs, are they sterile? And if they procreate with another race, what race is that child? So it represents some kind of conflicts. What do the other races think of these half race beings in your world? And can there be other half-raced creatures that do not involve humans? Half gnome, half orc, halfling, half dwarf, half elf, half orc. Do those things exist? And if so, what do they represent culturally? Do they, when they're born, are they radically different than just representing one half of each parent species? But I'm also combining this video with my third and long overdue review of the saga book Within the Ring of Fire. And this is the part where I'm pretty sure many of you are probably going to shut the video off, which is good, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a passage out of the book of saga book Within the Ring of Fire about a race called the Kal Far. And I don't normally like to do this, or even will do this in the future, about just reading a passage, but I had a hard time trying to wrap my head around how to describe why so many people are giving such positive reviews about the Ring of Fire, because 99.9% of us aren't making a dime off of this book, but the Ander, Main Man, and Raw Immersive Games are putting out something that far exceeds the expectations of those of us that are really, truly desiring to elevate our role-playing level. So I'm going to read this. I hope, one commenter mentioned that they felt that I had a calm and perfect voice for role-playing, so please, I hope I don't put any of you to sleep. But I will read this verbatim, and I hope you understand how this relates. Now, what I'm doing is, I want to start this out by saying, think of all of your images of half-elves in D&D. Okay, so I gave you a little bit moment to think of all the half-elves. I guarantee you can't write anything more than what would fit on a 3x5 card or on the back of a napkin. Yes, this is Sophie. Yeah, kitty, what's going on? Half-elves are basically like a good way to get half the stats of a human and an elf, and to look good without being viewed as the tall, arrogant one or something. But I'm going to read about the Kal Far, right? Desperation is the dominant personality trait of the Kal Fars. They view the world and everyone in it as being against them. Because of this, actions that would be considered extreme by other civilized species are viewed as simply a common part of life. Their inborn survival instinct is extremely strong. Combined with their outlook on life, this means they must take drastic actions in order to survive, which leads others to perceive them as autocratic, ruthless, selfish, paranoid, and amoral. Trust is unknown amongst Kal Fars, which increases their desire for power. Strength is being able to dictate to reality. This is viewed as the greatest virtue, while weakness and laziness are viewed as contemptible sins worthy only of death or slavery. Slavery is nearly universally seen as a necessity of life. Kal Fars may be perfectly willing to sell even their own children into thrall for the right price. Selfless acts are considered distasteful, as is tending to the elderly. An average life expectancy is 900 cycles. While Kal Fars are perfectly willing to work for others, including other species, their great entrepreneurial spirit has led to their control of many of the wealthiest enterprises in the world. The general species-wide feeling is the world will be a much safer place once their parent species are exterminated. Although Kal Fars are a gregarious people, their tendency to lie and their defense mechanisms, which keep them from allowing others to get too close to them, make it difficult to truly get to know one. Insults are taken seriously by these vain people, especially insults to their appearance or business acumen. Public insults cast shame upon the subject. To forgive such is considered a failing of character. All such insults must be avenged. Kal Fars rarely level insults against those of lesser status, for they know that to do so is to gain an enemy for life. This means even the slightest of insults can cause grudges to linger for lifetimes. Darkling is a racial slur primarily used against this species by Freyans and Mihangis. It is meant to mock their exiled state. Social structure. At present, two forms of government vie for dominance in their communities. The first, more traditional, is monarchy. The ruling royal families can trace their blood back to the royal lines of their parent species. Gender plays no role in leadership. When the head of a royal family dies, all the heirs to the title are given the chance to abdicate or vie for it in ritual battle that takes place inside arenas. All of those that wish the position compete at the same time in a no-holds-barred combat which lasts until all competitors have either surrendered or perished. Kal Fars feel this strengthens them and ensures that they will have the strongest leaders. The second form, which is rapidly subsuming the first, is the rule of business. The struggle between the two forms becomes weaker and weaker as the merchant empires grow richer and richer. Expansion through commerce seems to be the future of these people. Diet. Fungus eaten raw or in treated pasta-like dishes forms the basis of their diet. This bland food is seasoned with salt and several sauces made from slowly cooked fish heads or the blood of rats or lizards. Their diet is supplemented by the meat of rats, beetles, spiders, lizards, crabs, and fish. Many of these animals are farmed and their food is typically cooked. The act of eating sentient creatures is seen as a lowly custom to only be engaged in by slaves. Kal Far population is over 525,000. Image. Kal Far height and weight are nearly identical for both genders, ranging from 5'11" to 6'4" and weighing between 110 and 165 pounds. The only uniform characteristic of their skin is its smooth texture, as it ranges in color from every shade of pink and purple to even the occasional shade of gray. The various shades of pink and purple are the most common colors for their glowing irises, though black, amber, gold, and even green are not unknown. Likewise, their silky hair tends towards the shades of purple and pink, but black, gray, silver, white, and blonde occasionally occur. Despite their slightly pronounced canines, they have the teeth of omnivores. The cast of their eyes, angular symmetry of their faces, and long pointed ears reveals their Fey heritage. Filth is a condition associated with slaves. Thus, Kal Fars take extreme care to be as clean as possible. Cleanliness is seen as a luxury to be flaunted like all others. No other species in the world is as obsessed with their physical appearance, making fashion and style nearly as important as freedom to these vain people. Hairstyles and clothing are constantly changing. Relations. Despite having little loyalty to each other and even less to other species, the Kalfars have begun to hold and build tangible relations with other species. Seeing conquest as an economic exercise rather than one of brute force motivates this species to remain relatively peaceful. At least they rarely mount military campaigns. However, when they were first exiled to the dark parts of the world, they found themselves living near many angry pharaohs. Living in neighboring areas has led to many brutal battles between the two. However, their mutual hatred for the Freyans and Mihangese has led to several key peace accords. Currently, there are many political discussions between Kal Far and Farum leaders who are planning a joint assault on Rodalan. Between the Farum's tireless industrious nature and the Kal Far's ruthless entrepreneurial spirit, the two are beginning to find their alliances highly profitable. The fact that they are the only other basic species which can successfully produce children with humans has become something of great interest to both peoples. This revelation has already begun one large Kal Far human community. Kal Fars admire much about humans and consider them to be the closest thing they have to kindred spirits in this world. While they have far less respect for ogres, it is not uncommon for a female Kal Far to take one as a lover. The primary reason for this is the ease with which her ogre lover can be turned into a mighty defender for her person and property. More than one woman has found this a successful tactic towards acquiring a better place in the world. They consider the archeress to be a worthless species, too lazy and filthy to even be enslaved. The archerists are killed on sight when they get too close to a Kal Far settlement due to the fear of the spread of disease. Chthons are viewed as the perfect species, as they are by far the easiest to enslave. Location. They live in the dark places beneath the lands of the Mihangese and the Freyans. More of them live in the city of Jolf than anywhere else in the world. Worldview. Trust is an illusion. The only one you can count on in this life is yourself, so you better be up for the challenge. Breeding. Sex for Kal Fars, like every other relationship, is about power, making bisexuality the norm. They tend to view their partner as a possession, and their relationships are more of a combination of jealousy and lust than love. Few of these exhausting relationships last more than 12 cycles. As it was marriage that doomed their people, they have abandoned it. All members of this society are expected to have as many children as possible, and it is nearly unheard of for a woman to have the same father for all her children. They breed at much quicker rates than either of their parent species. Many among their royalty are of the blood of the dead god Hrolflin. Half-breeds are welcomed in their society, but only if they are powerful. They are unable to breed with either of their parent bloodlines, though they are able to breed with both humans and ogres. Their offspring with ogres are sterile, but their offspring with humans, called Oiru, are extremely fertile. Currency. Being creatures of the underworld, all Kal Far house coins are minted in silver and usually come in a diamond shape. Due to their vast networks, Kal Fars are one of the chief coin-using species in the world. However, they also understand the value of trade goods and import the majority of the surface goods that reach the underworld. Amassing wealth is seen as a high virtue. They consider anything which holds value to the other peoples around them to be valuable as well. Now, yes, I read quite a bit, and it is kind of like an encyclopedia, but I have to say this. I skipped over parts, and that is a lot of information about essentially a bastard race of people. And that is just one of, I believe, 7 that I've counted in the Saga book, and like 27 in the Men's and Monster book. So I greatly encourage you to check this book out, some of the live plays, and to read into some of the background that is given in some of the live play games, and just how rich and how much detail are given to these races. I didn't even hint very much to the divinity and the religion, because it is quite rich as well. So thank you for, if you've gotten this far, thank you very much for your attention. This is DBJ, and as always, use that creative spirit. Please don't destroy anything. Thanks a lot, guys.